All right. Today we're going to be setting up Agent World, which is a multi-agent interactive environment where you can build. So really, it's like a framework where you can build your own custom simulations or games, and they're all language-based simulations and games. And the characters that interact with them are also agents. So it's a very fun project to play around with, and I'm going to show you, first of all, how to set it up. And I'm going to go over each of the different ways to run it. There are 3 different ways to run it. One of them is an entire simulation on your own machine. One of them is just running the game engine server, which is like the simulation server. And you can then ngrok and allow other people to connect into your game with their own agents or with natural text. And then the third is to just run the agent and connect to someone else's server. So it's a very dynamic and poorly named project, but there's a lot of exciting stuff here, so I'm going to try to just jump right into it. The last part will be going a little bit more into the technical details of how it works for anyone that wants to really get in the weeds a little bit more with the project and maybe make some edits to it to make it more custom to what they're trying to do. First things first, though, you got to copy your OpenAI API key. I already have my key in here, which I'm not going to show you. But once that's done, you got to make sure Docker's running, and then you just Docker compose. You can go over to localhost 3000. This is where the simulation is going to be running, and on the left side we're going to see the agent responses, and on the right side we're going to see the server actions. And so the first thing it's going to do once the agents join the game is it's going to initialize the world state in Chroma, and you'll see then it will customize prompts for each of the characters. But let me take a step back and show you how you can just, if you want to just edit the agents. So the Docker Compose is going to spin up 4 of these sample agents, and they're split out in separate files, which is a little bit redundant and unnecessary, but the reason I did it that way is so that if you want to just individually edit them to do certain things, you can just go into each file individually and do that. And their system prompts are defined here. The 2 things that you can really easily edit to build your own are the names and the system prompts of the agents, and you would do that before doing the Docker Compose, obviously, and then the world state. And so this is the initial world state. You can see it's just a JSON object where the IDs are the names of the objects in the world, and then the descriptions are sort of like you almost describe a map in natural text. You say, the Emerald Forest, yada yada yada, and then you can say, if you go north from here, you'll end up there, and if you go west from there, you'll end up over there. So that's version 1 of how to just run this. If your goal is to just run an environment, you're going to go in, edit the world state, edit the agent names and their system prompts, and then Docker Compose up after pasting your API key. I'm going to turn this off now. The other thing I'll mention is if you want to add more agents, you can go into the Docker Compose and you can just uncomment these blocks here according to how many additional agents you'd like to add, and then when you Docker Compose, it will build with those agents as well. Okay, version 2 of how to run this would be run a server and allow others to connect to it. So at first we were running the entire environment with agents and the world. Now if we just want to run a server, all we're going to do is npm install. We're going to get all the packages we need and then run npm start. So I've already npm installed. I'm just going to run npm start, and then we'll see that the agent world server is listening on port 3123. If you want, you can also open a new terminal and you can run npm run view. There we go. So now we're connected to WebSocket, and then you'll see as agents make actions, as the server performs actions and broadcasts them out through this WebSocket, you'll be able to watch them along in the terminal. Now if we're running on port 3123 and we want other agents to be able to join, all we do is ngrok, and we're on port 3123. So now we've got this external link that we can share. And moving into step 3, if you just want to run an agent, what you would do here is paste this server URL. And now let's say we want to run an agent. So we would give him a name, Mike, and it's going to be using this agent implementation. And so to run the agent, all you would do is get your OpenAI API key, same as before. You would npm install, and then you would just do npm run agent, and that's going to run that index.js file. So now you can see it has joined the game over here, and Mike is assigned a color. And for the game to actually start, 2 agents have to join. So maybe just for the demo, I will set up another one. I'm going to edit the config so they're not on the same port, and give them another name. Mike's friend npm run agent again. And now the 2 of them have joined, and the game actually will begin at this point. So we can just run it in the terminal like that. And of course, because we're running the server, we can go again to localhost 3000 and oh, I'm sorry, we would actually need to go into the front end repository, and then we would run npm run dev. Whoops. And now we've got this other view play environment where it's a little bit more viewer friendly per se. Cool. Now that covers sort of the 3 ways to set it up. So just to review briefly, we've got Docker Compose to run the entire thing after editing some of the config in prompts.ts. Then we've got just running a server environment, and then we've got just running an agent environment, or running an agent to connect to an environment that someone else is running. All right, so moving on to setting up Agent World to run a Lord of the Flies simulation. So all we're going to need to do is go into our server source directory and then the prompts.ts file, and we're going to edit the system prompts of the agents. So I'm going to delete all these. And the way I did this before, and I'll give a quick demonstration, is kind of like, oh my god, I hate this. Yeah. So let's see. So the first thing I'm just going to, to jog my memory, let's say, who are the main characters? Something like this, and I've already done this, so I'm actually just gonna, just take what I've already got. But that's how you would, I think this is the easiest way to, if you want to set up a large number of agents, just do something like this. So you're gonna get these. Also describe the island in, I think I actually have that one in here. Yeah, your job is to create a cohesive, comprehensive, consistent virtual fantasy world. So we paste in something like this, or something like that. I mean, this is a low-effort prompt, but we've got the island, and so I've done this previously, and I've already got these values, and I've saved them to this text file here. So what I'm going to do is just copy this, and now we go over to our prompts file, and you can see the world state, as we discussed before, is this just giant JSON object, but I'm going to delete that. And then the other thing we are going to need to do is give all these characters names. And then I'm also going to uncomment so that we can run 8 agents at once in this simulation. All right, so I've inserted the agent names here. And then we're back to just our simple Docker Compose. Oh, okay. Now, when we Docker Compose, same command as before, I'm going to go back to my browser, and I'm going to refresh the front end. And this takes just a second to get all the services running. Now, Roger's getting the first prompt. Roger, you find yourself standing at the edge of a dense forest. And now we can basically just let this run and follow along and just have a continuous book. The book never ends. So, yeah, I would encourage you to set it up, give it a try. I'd love any feedback that people have, unless it's critical, because I don't want that. Definitely open to contributions. One thing we're looking for is just an agent implementation written in Python would be very cool. We thought it'd be nice to have XY coordinates on the map so that we can actually filter by items that are very close. And then there are some other things outlined here. I'm not going to bore you with all of this. The last thing I want to talk about is just a little bit about how this works. So I'm going to skip everything up until the actual game loop itself, which begins here. And the game actually starts once 2 users have joined the game. The way to join the game is to send a post request to the main server with a postback URL, which on your turn, the server sends a post request to, requesting your next action, and it includes the prompt from the world on that. As an example, when it's an agent's turn, this prompt is generated using the character name and then previous actions that were taken by that character, and then also relevant actions from other characters, and then information about the world state. And that is pulled in using a semantic query of the Chroma world state collection with the user's information, their past action, and all other relevant actions. So then when the agent responds, that's stored in Chroma as well. And then we find and update world information. And this is using OpenAI functions, where we define these two functions here for updating and adding items to Chroma. And these are just sort of wrapper functions around the very simple collection.add and collection.upsert functions that are provided by Chroma. Much. If you watched this far, good Lord, you're crazy. Thanks for doing that. Hope you have a chance to try out the project, and yeah, put a lot of thought into this and would love to see what people do with it.